Good evening, everyone. This is Tim. Welcome to another episode of A Little Bit of Everything. I see that Mr. Hudat was already in here waiting for me before I got on. Good to see you, sir. Thank you for stopping in as often as you do. It's always a pleasure to see familiar faces waiting for you as you're about to go online. It's actually very encouraging to see somebody in the wings waiting for you. I'm glad to be back online again. I wasn't on yesterday. Had quite a few things occupy a good part of the day. I started off with going to the memorial service of an older man that I know who passed away recently. So the family had a public memorial at their church, and so I went to that for about an hour and a half. And then afterwards, I met up with some of my local libertarian bros. We meet once a month, usually on a Sunday, and we enjoy a meal together. We talk business, and we had a really awesome conversation yesterday about the meeting of Javier Milei, who is the current president of Argentina. He recently met up with Donald Trump, who probably most people know is a former president of the United States and is wanting to run again in this coming election as a Republican. Javier Milei is not a Republican. He is a libertarian, just like me and just like my boys I was hanging out with yesterday, and a girl. So, we were speculating about what they could have been talking about. And the fact of the matter is, it's Mr. Trump who needs to listen to President Milei about how to efficiently run a country and not vice versa. Because if anybody knows anything about the things that President Milei has accomplished just in the few months that he's held office in Argentina, it's really groundbreaking. I mean, he's done away with cabinet positions, thousands of non-productive jobs, and just all this static and all this mess that just sucks the productivity out of the country. He's just done away with so much of it. And not only that, he's let people know that if they bellyache too much about it, by like blocking streets and causing mayhem, that they're going to lose their government assistance as a penalty. So it's like he ain't playing around. So, there's this big narrative about wanting to make America great again and all this stuff. And it's like, the fact of the matter is, all of these three-letter agencies that we have in this country that a lot of people don't like, they all fall under the executive branch of the Constitution. So whoever is the chief executive, which is the president of the United States, he would have the authority to make adjustments in those different agencies if he had the wherewithal to do it. So anyway, it just made for a really wonderful conversation. We always do have a great time together when we hang out. And we also engage in different social activities from time to time. We've gone to a local shooting range already and blew stuff up. And we're looking to organize an information table on the lawn of the county courthouse sometime around tax day to let people know about our presence here in this county as the Libertarian Party. And We have this thing called the world's smallest political quiz, where people can answer a series of questions, and based on their answers, it gets plotted on a graph, and it shows where a person stands as far as how they relate to their country, whether they're authoritarian, libertarian, conservative, liberal. And it turns out that most people, when they think about these different issues, that most people really are libertarians as far as how they think. They just need to be made aware of that and be given the option to pursue their ideals. And of course, as libertarians, it's our responsibility to, provide some kind of structure for them to want to participate in, because it really is an uphill battle for anybody who wants to run for any kind of public office that does not is not registered with the two primary parties. So it is an uphill battle, but the way I look at it is I've already won at life. And, anybody who wants to say that, well, voting for a third party is a waste of your vote. Not for me, it isn't, because regardless of who wins elections, I've won at life. So it's like my participation in the political process is there to serve people, not to try and push my own agenda on society. Unfortunately, the way the climate is, the political climate in America today, isn't so much that people vote for the things that they want. They vote against the things that they hate and the things that they fear. And the media, has a way of capitalizing on this to push their agenda for whatever they have. So, to me, if you're voting against the things that you hate and the things that you fear, rather than voting for the things that you like, you've already lost. Even if the guy you vote for wins, you lost. So, it's just a matter of getting this point out to people. So this is part of our efforts in our local area as the Libertarian Party that we would like to get across to the people in our county. So that was another thing that I did yesterday. And before I go into anything else regarding that, I want to take a moment to recognize Hex Glenn. Says, evening, everyone. Hello there, Mr. Hex Glenn. Thank you for stopping in again to check out the stream. It's always good to see familiar faces coming back. So your presence is very much appreciated, sir. Thank you for stopping in. So another thing that happened yesterday is I did book a room at Harrah's in Las Vegas for Wednesday night and Thursday night of the Pulse Chain event. So I am going to be in Vegas. Really, Thursday is the only day that I'm going to be there all day, because I have stuff to do Wednesday morning. So when I leave here Wednesday afternoon, I'm going to be arriving in Vegas, probably late, not too late, but late enough that I'm not going to want to, spend hours and hours and hours on the town. But then I'll be there all day Thursday. I didn't buy a ticket to the event because I'm only going to be there for one full day. I'm just going to make a presence there in Vegas and just kind of walk around and see if I can encounter any Hexicans. I'll put out some tweets just to see if anybody's around, and just be available in that regard. And then I have to leave Friday mid-morning probably around lunchtime to get back here. I need to get back here by Friday evening. So I am going to Vegas, but like I said, I'm just going to be hanging out. I'm not going to be a special guest or anything like that. But if anybody's going to be there and wants to meet up, just let me know. Like I said, I'll send out a couple of tweets and see what happens. Worst case scenario, I'll just kind of do my own thing while I'm there. Doesn't matter. So that's another thing. And then something else that happened yesterday that is more, which is also related to crypto and particularly to Hex, was that after I left our libertarian meeting, I noticed there was a tweet that somebody put out speaking about a monologue that somebody put on YouTube. And the person who tweeted about this was saying, if you got a problem hearing the truth, you're not going to like hearing this. And, well, I never have a problem hearing the truth. So I kind of got a sense of where this monologue was going to go straight from the get-go. But I wanted to hear what the person had to say. So before I get into that, I want to recognize a few more people. Tin Top. What's up, Hexicans? Good to see you again, Tin Top. Always good to see you. Thank you for dropping in on the stream. It's great to see familiar faces. It's been a couple of them now. And I also want to take a moment to say hello to Mr. Dirk Sheffer. Dirk, I don't know how long you've been on the stream, but I just got done talking about our conversation yesterday over lunch and our little comparison between Javier Milei and Donald Trump and the difference between being a libertarian and being a Republican. So yeah, I kind of opened up the stream by talking about that for a couple of minutes, but really good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. So on the way home from the our meetup yesterday, our meeting, monthly business meeting, I was listening to a YouTube talk. It was a monologue by somebody, and he was talking about basically the whole Bitcoin, or excuse me, the whole Hex maximalist thing, and how people had been, speaking out against people who are loyal to Richard Hart's products, essentially, and people promoting other pulse chain based things, and this controversy between Richard Hart products versus non-Richard Hart products that are on pulse chain, and how different people have been polarized in their loyalty to different things, and how certain people have been rather vocal in relationship to all this. And I was pretty intrigued by what was being said, as someone who's been in crypto for as long as I have, and being in Hex since day one, and watching Pulse Chain launch and all of this, how would I say it? Dilution of interest among different products that have been launched on Pulse Chain, and how different attitudes have been manifested in relationship to all of this. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is there's something that spoke to me personally and specifically that I thought I would share with people here, just in case anybody would derive some kind of benefit from that. And that is that there are people, and this is pretty common among human nature. There are people who are in position of influence in one field or another, people who have access to a large audience or to the public in general. And when they address their audience, they have a tendency to speak from this position of we. We have to be open to this. We need to do that. We ought not do this, that, or the other. We should be this way. We shouldn't be that way. We. And when I hear people talk like that, the first thing I think is, who is we? Because following the rules of grammar, that would include me. And if the person speaking is trying to include me in whatever they're talking about, my immediate thought is, what authority does this person have to include me in whatever thing they're talking about? I mean, I don't see any rings on these fingers. It's like, who's we? Because, just because I might listen to someone doesn't automatically mean that I'm in agreement with them and that I'm on board with whatever they're about. Just because I may know them in some personal capacity or I'm paying attention to whatever they're saying doesn't mean that we're automatically in agreement. Doesn't mean that I'm part of we. And another thing that makes me question when people come from this position of we need to do this or not do that, I question, well, what are the consequences of me not going along with whatever we need to be doing or not doing? So it's almost like when people speak to the public from that perspective, when they include everybody in their own thing, we need to do whatever. That's indicative of a person who believes that they own their audience. And, they may not know that that's where they're coming from, but their language is indicative of that. And I'm always, I wouldn't say weary, but I'm aware when I hear people speak that way, because I know that I'm not that way. I'm not streaming because I have an agenda that I'm trying to get an audience to go along with. I'm only here to share a lifetime of knowledge with people with the hope that they can derive some kind of benefit from that, and that I'm not wasting their time or my time. So that's something that's one of the reasons I didn't stream yesterday. It wasn't necessarily because I didn't have time. I could have come home and went online, but I really needed some time to digest what I saw yesterday, because this is something I've witnessed most of my life when paying attention to talk show hosts and people who have some kind of means of addressing the public or have some kind of following. And, now that we have live streaming and YouTube, anybody can become a potential influencer and be, the type of person that I just got done describing. And, if anybody listening to this is considering being somebody that wants to host a public platform, that's something that you may want to consider as you pursue that and as you start to draw an audience. You need to be upfront with people as to how you relate to your audience. Most people are not going to be that honest and say, look, I'm talking to you people because I want you to do something for me. So, but if that's the type of person you are, that's going to come out in your content regardless, because we can't hide as individuals. We're not capable of hiding from who we are. Our words reveal what is in our heart, because that's just how life works. But anyway, want to recognize a little bit more in the chat here since there's been a little more activity. Dirk says, anarcho-capitalism. Yes, sir. That's us. RH System is pumping and ink is pumping wonderfully. Thank you for that good news. I actually haven't checked my portfolio for a couple of hours, which is kind of a record for me. I mean, I used to check my portfolio like several times an hour. Of course, when it's right there on your phone and it's just a button or two away, it's kind of easy to do. But when we have weeks of red candles at a row, I kind of step away. And especially now that I'm working on my property and I don't get really good cell and internet access at my property, it's easy for me to step away from the portfolio and the charts and go out and, touch grass and move rocks and do productive exercise type thing. Who is we? You got a mouse in your pocket? Exactly, Tin Top. That's the whole point that I was getting at. Who is we? You need to be careful when you listen to people and they speak to their audience as we. We need to do this, we need to do that. It's like, if there's going to be that kind of connection with people, that connection is earned. You can't just assume that your audience has that level of connection with you just because they're taking the time to listen to what you're talking about. This is a matter of relationships here. MT Coiner is here. Hey, Tim, hope you are well today. Yes, sir. I am doing wonderful. I'm very happy to be back online again. I didn't get on yesterday. And thank you for stopping in again. Mr. MT Coiner is someone else who stops by on a regular basis. Got quite a few people here that are turning into locals, and including Mr. Andre, the Pulse Bitcoin miner. Hello, Tim. Hello, Andre. Thank you for being back again. I'm excited to see that we've begun the second halving in February. I had a sense that we would click over sometime in February, although Corky's his data was showing that we weren't going to click over until March. But my instinct said we would start in February, and we have, and I'm glad. And I'm glad to see that the price chart is starting to reflect some upward motion because of that. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited that we've got some liquidity building up also on both networks for Pulse Bitcoin. I'm really interested to see how that's going to perform in this coming bull market. I don't talk about that coin much on the stream, mostly because I'm mainly focused on Hex, Ink, and Calm at the moment. And that's one of the reasons I want one of those coins to reach the goal that I have in mind for them. Because once one of those coins meets that goal, I'm going to talk about Pulse Bitcoin on a regular basis because I have a goal in relationship to that coin. So, this is why I'm just that much more motivated to help Hex, Ink, and Calm reach the goal that I have in mind for each one of those, so we can introduce more coins on a regular basis. But thank you, Andre, for stopping in again. Let's see. Tin Top. I think we should make some popcorn. By we, I mean me, myself, and I. The rest of you are on your own. There you go. Exactly. I had some salad, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and a handful of grapes before I got online tonight. So, yeah, we enjoyed that very much. MT Coiner is like, I legit haven't looked at my portfolio in probably 2 to 3 months. It could be hacked and all gone right now, and I wouldn't even know it. You know, actually, the longer you don't look at your portfolio, the more likely it isn't going to be hacked and all gone right now. You know, speaking at the possibility of being hacked, I noticed yesterday that there was a shark that capitulated, and they're out. Like they have nothing. Like their whole bag is gone, and they paid like 650 million hex in slippage and penalties, and they only had 30 million hex that they were able to dump. And their dumping didn't really affect the chart as drastic as a dump that size could have in the past. And there are people speculating that wallet somehow probably got hacked or got compromised because somebody was loose with their seed words or whatever. But yeah, when in doubt, just walk away. Stepping away for your portfolio for 2 to 3 months is probably one of the best things a person can do, especially if they've got hex stakes and they're earning yield. Yeah. Now, if I wasn't in the process of building a house right now, I could probably go a couple of months without looking at my portfolio too. But I'm not in that position right now. Let's see. Ink is at 338. Really? Man, the last time I checked, it was barely at 3. Wow. That is awesome. That is so awesome. You know, one of my goals for Ink is for it to go to $10 because, as I've said before, because of the way my farm positions are set up right now, if Ink were at $10, then the dollar value of my Ink yield daily would be enough to pay my monthly expenses at the end of the month. So, not that I plan on selling Ink to pay for my living, but it's just an indicator, because on the portfolio page of Go Pulse, my hex stakes on the 2 networks are my 2 highest sources of yield right now. And then Ink went from being number 5 behind the 2 hedrons up to number 3. And it's probably going to be a long time before it becomes number 2. But, you know, number 3 works for now. And like I said, $10 Ink would be ideal for me personally. I'm doing everything I can to get us there. But that's just what I'm looking at personally. MT Coiner says stake and chill. Yes, sir. Best thing you can do. Stake and chill. And if you have enough capital, get yourself some Ink and some PulseX. Send that into the farm so you can earn more Ink. So not only are you staking by time locking, you're staking by liquidity providing and providing stability to the pricing on the network, and you get rewarded for doing that by earning Ink. So Yeah, 19 hex per T-share, dude. That was like the second highest payday in the history of hex so far. And that is wonderful. And yeah, who that says that is the sweetest payout. Eventually, we might hit daily 12 to 18 plus daily payout. Eventually, we will, because as those OG stakes come out of stake, those T shares are burned. And the price per T share today is, 32, almost what, 33,000 hex per T share. When hex first launched, it was 10,000 hex per T share. So the ability to create new T shares, because of the price in hex per T share going up, fewer and fewer T shares are going to come online, which is going to increase the payout to the average payout per T share will go up because there's less and less T shares entering the system because they're becoming more and more expensive. So yeah, it's inevitable that we're going to hit 12 hex per day payout. As a matter of fact, I've seen a graph that somebody has put together. I don't know if I've saved it in any of my files. I'm not going to look for it right now. But there's somebody broke down like what the average payout per T-share is going to be like each year for next 15 years. And it shows the increments. So yeah, hang in there. It's going to be good. So something else that I want to share. Oh, besides the fact that that shark that dumped the other day, they forgot to mint their COM and their Hedron. So there's just a gigantic stack of COM that will never come into existence, which is going to make it that much easier for us to raise the coupon rate on the secret weapon, which is the HexCom Fusion. Plus, this God whale inflation will be hitting the market, allowing the 3.69 to filter to our T-shares. Yes. I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to as far as which God whale inflation, what he actually did. I know that he staked like 3 billion, like almost 3.5 billion coins for only 45 days just a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you're referring to that stake or something else that he's done. He's done quite a bit over the years. I don't follow him closely, but whenever he does something, you pretty much hear about it on Twitter. I don't have the time to chase any other coins. I am basically an RH Maxi. Hex, eHex, Pulse, PulseX are all I really mess with. I should probably have more ink besides what I need for farm. Well, ink is a Richard Heart token. So, but I hear you. My focus is mainly on the Richard Heart products. I do have other coins because they were made available to me for free for being a T-shareholder. And I am fond of them. I don't talk about them much, as I just explained to Andre. I've got goals revolving around 3 of them. And once I meet a goal on one of those 3, then I'll introduce another one into the equation to talk about. But yeah, I pretty much stick to what I have. And yeah. The more you focus on one thing, the easier it is for that one thing to increase. Okay, so yeah, who that is, that's what he's talking about, is that there was a gigantic stake made a couple weeks ago for 3.5 billion hex that was only staked for 45 days. And when that steak comes out, I mean, that's like, I think there was like, I think he got like 11,000 T-shares from that one steak. Those T-shares are going to be burned, and that's going to make the cost of a T-share go up. I don't know how much. We're going to find out one way or another, but yeah, I agree with you. So anyway, another thing that I'm looking forward to this weekend, I shared on a previous stream that a dump truck driver who delivered some fill dirt to my property, when he was done with the last load, he pulled over and got out of his truck, and he comes up to me and he's asking me, he's like, I see you out here working on your property all day long. And he's like, obviously you don't have a job. He's like, what do you do for money? So he's like, I see your car over there, and obviously you know something about the internet. And I'm like, yeah. And I started talking to him about crypto, and he's like, I'd like to get into this. I'd like to know more. And we exchanged numbers, and he had said that usually like Sunday evening is his best time. And I didn't hear from him yesterday or the Sunday before. So I texted him and I asked him, would you still like to get together and talk about this? And he wrote back right away, and he's like, definitely. So we may be meeting up this Saturday evening. And I'm really encouraged by that, because there was a tweet that was put out by Gunther recently where he did some math based on something that Axis Alive had posted. Between the two of them, they had formulated, based on Metcalfe's law, that we need to onboard 4,110,961 new Hex stakers in order for the price of Hex to be $25. So I replied to that by saying, I wrote that number down and I've got it pasted here, because I want to see how much I can reduce that number between now and the time when Hex is actually worth that much, just so I can see how much I actually contributed to the value proposition of Hex being that dollar amount. So it looks like I'm going to reduce that number by 1 this weekend. So I'm just really excited about that. I need to be a little bit more aggressive with just cold contacting people everywhere I go. I'm building up to that in my mind. So after I visit with this guy this weekend, I'm going to talk to him about the prospect of possibly working together to get the information that I'm going to share with him in front of more eyes as possible. Because after I first met with him, here's somebody who really doesn't understand. He's a no coiner that has no knowledge of our space at all. And he asked me, like, how long do you think it would take me for you to, give me the whole picture? And I said, I can probably tell you in less than 2 hours. So he's like, okay, cool. So after he left, I thought about that, and I've been thinking ever since of what are the fewest resources I need to show him to give him the biggest picture. How do I show him the biggest picture in the most simplest terms with the fewest number of websites that he needs to go to? And that all came to me. And it's like, I got it all worked out. And I'm, if he sees the picture based on what I'm going to show him, then that will serve as a template for how I can systematically onboard lots of new users. So like I said, I'm really excited for what this weekend holds. And the fact is, I am relatively busy the rest of this week, so the weekend's going to come fairly quick for me. So, yeah, I'm really, really excited to sit down with this person. And evidently, my big concern when I didn't hear from him right away is that he went home and told his wife, and his wife basically said, "No way, we're not getting involved in that." That was what I was thinking. And that's one of the reasons I didn't, I wasn't on his case the next day. Like, when do we sit down? Because, I didn't want to intervene between him and his wife in the event that they may have been discussing a disagreement. So looks like that's not the case. So we'll see how this all unfolds. But, it's very important that if you're going to talk to people face to face about crypto, if they're married, you really need to talk to both people in the family, because they both need to see the picture, they both need to be on board, and they both need to agree with each other as to how they're going to approach this space and what it is they want out of it. Because if a husband and wife work together as a team, that's always a more ideal arrangement than, the husband just doing what he wants and hoping the wife will just catch on later. That's really, if I was married, I wouldn't approach it that way. And I wouldn't recommend that married people work that way. People need to work together as a team. So, yeah, MT Coiner says that's the best kind of onboard. People who seek it out are far more likely to be successful. Yes. And this person that approached me, he's someone who understands what it means to put in a full day's work. He works in the construction field by being a dump truck driver. He understands that you can't do that forever. Unless you plan on working till the day you die and you're content with that. If you want a plan B, you need to do something other than what you're doing now. You need to be able to, and I told him that. I said, yeah, you're right. You can't just work forever. You need to either own a business or you need to put money into some kind of asset that will appreciate in value so that you can draw from it in the future as needed. And he totally got it right off the bat. He's like, yeah, exactly. That's what I want to do. I said, well, that's what I've done. So I can show you what I've done and you can just decide if you want to pursue it yourself. So, it was real simple. The dude shook my hand like 5 times during the course of our conversation. And that's why I knew he, like, in his mind, he was already on board. And that's why I was so concerned about, when a guy is that excited, it's real easy if he's married for his wife to take it all away. So I was kind of worried there for a little while. I onboarded a guy once who apparently has drank his memory away. I have to reteach him how to get into and use his wallet every 8 months. Oh, dude. Oh, man. I feel sorry. You would think that if a person saw the big picture of what DeFi, Pulse, and Hex has to offer somebody, that would motivate them to not want to drink or to engage in any other vice that's destroying their mind or their body. I mean, man, I was fortunate when I was younger. I was introduced to a business model that had that effect on me. When I saw the potential that this model had, it literally motivated me to stop drinking, stop smoking cigarettes, stop smoking weed, and anything else that I was interested in at that time. It's like I was willing to walk away from all of that because I was introduced to something that I actually saw was a reliable way of securing my entire life. And it was like, oh, wow. It's like suddenly life was worth securing at that point. So I'm seeing the same thing now with Hex. It's like we have a way for people to create a security system. Hex is actually the real social security, not that junk that they print up at the government paychecks. That's not social security. That's the Ponzi scheme. Hex is real social security. It's the other thing that's the Ponzi, not Hex. I still work in the construction field because I refuse to sell my crypto in a bear market. I hear you, man. And I did not know that you worked in construction, MT. That's awesome. I worked for a home improvement company for 6 years before I was able to retire on Hex. But you know what? Even with that, I still do jobs from time to time for people. One of my best friends is a plumber. And as a matter of fact, I was out doing some drywall repairs for him today. And on Thursday, I'm doing some digging for him. So even though I'm technically retired, I still do side jobs for people. And it's usually those side jobs that pay for my monthly expenses. Yeah, if you haven't staked it till you made it, meaning you can afford to live off your Hex no matter what the price is, then yeah, I wouldn't recommend people give up their occupation until their portfolio can support them through a bear market, a prolonged bear market. And in crypto, bear markets go for years. They don't go for months. So yeah, good on you for staying at work, man. And I've been working on my property almost every day for the past year. So even though I'm technically retired, I still do a lot more physical labor than a lot of people, probably a bunch of people combined, because most people sit at a desk all day long. So mad respect, bro. That's just one more reason I'd like to meet you in person. Let's see. I'm a professional painter. I paint a lot of schools, hospitals, detention centers, daycares, and so on. Wow, that's awesome, man. The home improvement company that I worked for 6 years, the lady that owns that company, her primary business is painting, drywalling, and texturing, to everything relating to drywall and painting. We've done a lot of other jobs, besides that. But that's kind of her big thing, is painting. She's really good at it. I mean, she just, as far as like being able to cut in and stuff like that, she's got just hands of steel, man. She's really good. And like when she does drywall texture, it's like art. She's really good. And that's awesome that you do industrial size painting jobs. I may be painting a building here in the coming weeks myself. So good on you. Dirk says, as a recovering alcoholic, nothing will stop his drinking until he is ready. Yeah, I agree. I mean, fortunately, I haven't had the problem with alcohol that alcoholics have had. So it was fairly easy for me to walk away from it. But the fact is, it was because I came to a place where I was willing to walk away from it. Something came into my life that motivated me to walk away. So I hope this guy is ready that MT Coiner has been working with. Yeah. A few houses, but I don't like residential nearly as much as commercial. Yeah. Homeowners can be a little more picky than commercial properties, because when you're dealing with a commercial property, the ownership of the property is not the same as the ownership of a house. Usually when you're dealing with commercial buildings and commercial jobs, you're usually dealing with a committee, or you're dealing with some kind of supervisor who overlooks something, when you're dealing with a residence and you're dealing with a homeowner, you're just dealing with a different dynamic of person. So, and also residential, there's a lot more things that could go wrong. There's a lot more things that could be broken. If you spill paint in someone's house, it's a lot harder to clean up than if you spill paint like on a marble floor in a hospital. I mean, fortunately, I've never spilled paint in anybody's house, but it does happen. But yeah, it's one of those things. So let's see, what else do I have to talk about here? Yeah, something that I want to share with everybody. People who know me know that I'm a big fan of what we call the secret weapon, which is the use of Calm to serve as a marketing budget for onboarding people into Hex. Because Calm is another crypto that was invented last January, 2023. And it is something that a person who stakes Hex can claim for free based on the number of T-shares their Hex stake is worth. And you have to stake for at least 6 months to get the start bonus. And you have to stake for a year to get both the start bonus and the end bonus. And the goal of the secret weapon is to make the market value, the market price of Calm, the dollar value of Calm, equal to the dollar value of your stake if you stake for the max length of 15 years. So if you stake $100 worth of Hex for 15 years, at the 100% coupon rate, you would be able to claim as your start bonus $100 worth of Calm. Now, right now, we're not at the 100% coupon rate. As of yesterday, it fluctuates. It's been as high as 13%, and yesterday it was around 10. And there is somebody on Twitter who is making a note of that and tweeting about it. It looks like he's doing it on a daily basis. And I want to share with you his Twitter post yesterday and walk you through the statistics of that. So let me pull up my screen here and share this with you. And this man, his name is Anthony, and Anthony Timehaven. His Twitter handle is @Timehaven. And he's showing here that the coupon rate, and this was as of yesterday, was 9.86%. And so he shows here that if you would have staked 100,000 Hex for 5,555 days, that would have enabled a start bonus of 3.0848 trillion Calm that you could have minted, which would have a dollar value of $150.12. So it shows here the Hex price at the time of this post yesterday was 1.5 cents. That's on Pulse Chain. The Calm price was 10 zeros, then 4926. And so yeah, basically, case in point, simple point, if you would have staked 100,000 Hex for the full length, you would have been able to claim $150 worth of Calm, which you then could do whatever you want with. You can buy more Hex and stake it for 15 years and get more Calm if you want. This is how free markets work. But I'm a big supporter of this Hexcom fusion that we call the secret weapon. I really see it as the thing that is going to make Hex the number one asset in the entire world. It's going to just destroy everything. It's going to be better than gold. It's going to be better than a dollar. It's going to be better than Bitcoin. It's going to be better than any stock. I'm telling you, the relationship between Hex and Com is like critical mass. I mean, it's like nitro and glycerin. It's so explosive. And again, it's just a matter of people seeing the big picture. And usually the best way to see it is to just do it, to make a stake, make a 15-year stake, and for whatever amount, and claim your Com, the start bonus, which takes place the next day. The stake has to go live. So you got to check back the next day or when the next day ticks over before you can claim the Com. So you don't get it right away. You get it basically within 24 hours of when you make the Hex stake. But anyway, that is another thing that I wanted to share with people. So that's that. And on another note, I want to pull up a website here. Let's see. Give me a second here. I've shared with people the fact that I volunteer at a food bank once a week. And recently, myself and the director of the food bank, we were invited to a fundraiser event because our food bank is one of 15 charity nonprofit things that receives a donation from this larger organization. And we were there to represent our food bank. And we were given a list of all of the local businesses that contributed to this charity that we received a portion of for our food bank. And so what I've been doing periodically on my live stream is making reference to one of these businesses as just my personal way of saying thank you for your charity and for helping people in the local area. Because to me, this is kind of an extension of what it means to be a Hexican, to be someone who is trying to make life better for everybody else. Now, granted, I don't know any of the people who own this business or run it personally. I haven't onboarded anybody there. So these people are not directly Hexicans themselves, but I'm still taking a moment to highlight their business because they did contribute to a charity that I am associated with. So I have been to this place once before, and I've had some of their food, and I went and saw a band play there. They have outdoor seating with a little stage for outdoor entertainment. And so, yeah, a friend of mine invited me to see a band there. That they were awesome. And the food was great. I had some kind of, it was a combo. It was like 3 types of hummus and like 3 different kinds of breads and maybe some vegetables. It was just a great, great plate. I loved it. So let me pull up, I have their website here. Let me share it on screen. And let's see. Here we go. The place is called Vino di Sedona. Obviously, they have a very large selection of wine, but they also serve food. And like I said, the food is delicious. That's their outdoor area. There's the stage. It's just great environment, great people. Yeah, if you ever go to Sedona, if you're ever coming through Arizona, um, I can't recommend this place enough. I mean, I don't drink alcohol, but they have other things there, and it's just just a great place in the heart of West Sedona. And like I said, these people donated to our charity, so just giving them a shout out. And yeah, just one more reason to come to Arizona, folks. Arizona is one of the best states in the country. Being in Hex has freed me up to do quite a bit of traveling over the course. I didn't really travel much in 2023, but 2021 and 2022, I was all over the place. And, I'm not being biased because I live here, but I'm telling you, Arizona, Texas, and Florida are probably my three favorite states in the entire country. So if you ever want to take a road trip, you ever want to go somewhere, I can't recommend Arizona enough. And if you ever do come to Arizona, always feel free to look me up, contact me. I could be your tour guide. Love to hang out with people. It's great. There's just plenty to do around here. I even took this picture from the Grand Canyon. Went on a camping trip with some people to the Grand Canyon last year, and just great time. So, all right. Well, I've made it to an hour, and usually I like to call it by this time, but I'm going to stick on here for a little bit longer because I still do have some people watching. And I didn't get to the Hexagon of the Day award, which is something that I always want to do each time that I'm on here. And excuse me, the real value behind Hex is the people that are here, that are involved, and that do things to try and make the product known to others, and also just do what they can to support the community. And there is a person that I want to recognize for his continued support. We haven't really spoken to each other very much the whole time. And this person in particular has been in crypto just as long as I have. He's been around since 2011. And I don't recall seeing him in any other coins community before, unlike some other people that I've gotten to know over the years. But he's been around for a very long time, and he's very focused on Hex. He gets the big picture regarding the power of the t-shirt, and he tweets about it from time to time. And I consider myself fortunate that I've earned a follow from this person, because as I've said previously, I don't beg people to follow me. I don't beg people to watch my streams. I'd rather earn attention than simp for it. So when people that I respect suddenly are following me on Twitter, that's, I get a real sense of satisfaction out of that, because that tells me I'm doing something right. And this person is no exception. And I'd like to meet this guy someday, just in some place, just to like sit down and have a slice of pizza or whatever. But anyway, let me bring up the person that I am referring to here. All right, here he is. And let me share my screen here. So the Hexagon of the Day award is going to go to Mr. Rom Override. As I said, he's very committed to the Richard Heart ecosystem and very much focused on the Hex T-share. As it says in his Twitter profile, T-shares are king. I agree with you, Mr. Rom Override. The Hex T-share really is the cornerstone of everything that cryptocurrency was meant to be from the get-go. It's a tragedy that the Bitcoin bros didn't see that. They didn't grab hold of that. They should have agreed with Richard. They should have collaborated with Richard when he first started talking about Bitcoin Hex, because that was the original title for Hex, was Bitcoin Hex. Richard never intended to alienate the Bitcoin community. He wanted to include them in every way possible. When Hex first launched, if you owned Bitcoin, you could have claimed Hex for free from the get-go. And it's like they really missed the greatest opportunity ever. And that opportunity is embodied in the Hex T-share. And Rom Override sees that. And that's one of the reasons I respect him as much as I do. And I'm just very thankful that that he follows me, and I'm glad to follow him. And he's just a definite role model for what it means to be a Hexican. That's why I am singling him out as the Hexican of the day. And congratulations to Mr. Rom Override. So that is the Hexican of the Day award. So I haven't seen any other chats come up since then. So because of that, I'm going to take a quick glance at Twitter to see if there's anything newsworthy that comes up that is worth talking about here before I call it a night. Let's see. There's, oh no, I'm not going to bring that up. Here's a tweet. I'm not going to bring it up because it's the person who's going to receive the Hexican of the Day award for tomorrow. So I'm not going to give that away. But, Richard Heart made a tweet recently that I'll just give a quick shout out to and maybe comment on, saying that the Fed can't keep it up. Pulse Chain solves this. Strong like a bull. He's referring to an operational error in the Fed payment that caused the Fed payment system to crash. So the main thing to take away from this tweet, some people are looking at this statement, that's highlighted here, strong like a bull, indicating that, there's some kind of subliminal message about Richard Heart predicting a bull run or some bullish move coming up. Whether that's true or not, that's not why I'm bringing this tweet up. The reason I'm bringing it up is because the fact that this Fed payment system crashed, Hex has never crashed in 4 years, over 4 years that it has been in operation. It has had 100% flawless uptime from day one. How many things in life can you say that you know of that have had that kind of performance? Have you? How many people have called out sick from work at least once in the last 4 years? How many websites have gone down for 24 hours or so in the last 4 years. Now there's this government payment system that crashed. Hex has never crashed. Pulse Chain has never had a hiccup. Now, of course, Pulse Chain's not even a year old, but still. Richard Heart's products don't fail. And this is the kind of thing that will make Richard Heart a household name. Because human beings are naturally attracted to efficiency. They are naturally attracted to proficiency. And this is what Richard Heart has delivered. And yeah, it was agonizing, waiting 2 more weeks for Hex to launch. Then 2 weeks would come by and 2 more weeks, guys. Oh, it's coming in 2 more weeks. After the 6th time of hearing like 2 more weeks, you're ready to pull your hair out. But, looking back on it, it was all worth it. I'd go through all of it all over again in order to have the results that we've had for the last 4 years. So major props to Richard Heart for what he has built. These are the things that will onboard the masses. Most people can't grasp the idea of getting paid to sleep. Most people can't grasp the idea of generational wealth because people have been getting generationally screwed for so long. It's like that doesn't enter into people's minds very well. When I tell people I get paid to sleep, they think I'm just making that up. They're like, oh, okay, that's nice. Because they don't get it. They can't figure out how's that even possible. But when people see a system that works continuously, that serves as an anchor point in their belief system. That creates belief for people. So I don't want to keep harping on that, but it's very important to me to know that we're operating on that kind of platform of credibility, because that speaks more than the stuff that we can show off when our bags pump. That's one of the reasons I got my car wrapped. It's literally an advertisement. Of course, my accountant, because she set me up with an LLC, my car was literally a business expense, and getting my car wrapped is an advertising expense. And because I drive my car everywhere, it's like the mileage I put on my car contributes to the business. It's like a rolling billboard. So it's like, I didn't just buy that car to show off the fact that I got a new car. I bought that car to show people that Hex is real. It works. And if you build your staking ladder accordingly, you can get big ticket items when market conditions improve to meet those kinds of goals. So anyway, want to take a moment here to recognize Mr. Free Speech. Good to see another streamer. Thank you, Mr. Free Speech. I am very happy to be able to stream and hopefully provide some kind of content of value to our precious community. I don't recognize you as being on here before. If you have been, my apologies. If not, thank you for stopping in. It's always great to see people. So anyway, so that was that. Let me take another quick look here on Twitter to see if there's anything noteworthy to comment about before considering having to close for the evening. Let's see. Oh, this is a beautiful chart. And I know that my good friend Hudat is going to like to see this because we both like the same thing. And so let me share this on the screen real quick. This is from someone else that I have a fairly high regard for. Mr. Hex Turbo is posting the price chart for Inc., the incentive token. Says Inc. seems to be breaking out of that consolidation zone to the upside as predicted. Good prediction from you, Mr. Hex Turbo. Like I said, Inc. is one of my favorite cryptos behind Hex and Com because, as I've said before, I don't mean to keep repeating myself, but in case anybody doesn't know this, the incentive token is not a dump token. The incentive token is minted and distributed to people who provide value to the network. They provide liquidity to the respective assets in the farm that are listed in the farm. And if you provide those assets to those trading pairs, you can acquire the incentive token for free as a gratuity for providing value to the system. Now, not everybody appreciates that token, and a lot of people do dump it. But Richard Hart is no dummy. Richard does not invent useless tokens that are just for dumping, even though that's what many people do with them. And I believe that sometime in the future, I have no idea when, I believe that people who hold the incentive token will be able to use that token to serve as voting power to make a motion for the introduction of other trading pairs within the farm. Others have speculated or postulated that the incentive token may be able to be staked in order to earn a percentage of the fees that people pay to use the bridge. Personally, I have no idea if that's true. It sounds good. I like to believe it. I'm willing to believe it, but I don't know. All I know is Richard is not dumb, and Richard does not build useless products that are only there for the dumping. So people who treat Inc. as a dump token may wake up in a world of regret for doing that. But me, I love the incentive token. And eventually, and I've said this before, when I get the front of my car, the wrap edited, I'm going to include some imagery of the incentive token on there. And that is going to be neat. So that's a bull market goal. Once I'm able to break away from working on my house and I can afford, more people to work on it for me. So, yeah, as Hudat says, awesome Inc. Build your stack. Yes, sir. That's what I do all the time. And let's see if there's anything else that is newsworthy that pops up on Twitter. And yeah, I want to just give a shout out to my favorite man, probably one of the best parts of our ecosystem is fiat on ramps and off ramps. And I want to give a big shout out to Coast. This is a tweet that they posted saying, "We make it really easy to buy Hex. Have you tried it?" Coast is, oh man, Coast is like a dream come true. Because as someone who's been in crypto for over 10 years, like me, getting dollars in and out of crypto has always been a bottleneck. And granted, I signed up on Coinbase when they first launched back in 2012. And, I've never had a problem with Coinbase. But for Pulse Chain, Coast is the ultimate way to get dollars in and out of the network. They've got it, they got it down pat so systematically and so simply. It's just, it makes it a dream come true for onboarding new people, because it's just the minimal amount of clicks and button pushing that is involved to make the app work. And the biggest thing of all with Coast that I love the most is the fact that they are accessible in 99 countries. People all over the world can access Pulse Chain because of Coast. 99 countries. People in 99 countries can put value into Pulse Chain. They can stake Hex. They can build a staking ladder, and they can create security for themselves and for their families. And they can withdraw thanks to Coast. I remember back in the early days of Bitcoin, one of the big narratives was called banking the unbanked. And different Bitcoin influencers would talk about making Bitcoin available to people all over the world, and, helping people all over the world have access to some kind of financial system. That was the big narrative of Bitcoin. It never really happened. Bitcoin has mostly become the product of the United States government, the Chinese government, exchanges, venture capitalists, billionaires. I think you can Google the Bitcoin rich list, and it'll list like the top wallets of Bitcoin, like the top most, I think it was like, I forget the statistics, but the ownership of Bitcoin is very highly centralized. So you don't hear this narrative of banking the unbanked anymore. That disappeared years ago. But Coast has restored that prospect. It's no longer a narrative, it's reality. And Coast is in the vanguard of making that reality available to practically the entire world. And I cannot speak highly enough of the people that are responsible for bringing Coast into existence. I mean, these guys are heroes. These guys are world changers. I mean, Coast is one of those entities that is instrumental in making decentralized finance a revolution. This isn't just some fad product that, certain people can get rich off of. This is a financial system that has the potential to redefine how human beings relate to money altogether. I'm just, oh, wow. This is one of the reasons I want to stream, is to, just let people know this. I mean, just shout it from the rooftops. I mean, this takes awesomeness to a whole new level. I mean, it's like I need to expand my vocabulary to even express it all. Oh man. Who dat says has game mechanics it's having 3 years. Yeah, I've heard about Ink does have a halving as far as its minting is concerned. I haven't really looked into that thoroughly, but I've heard people talk about that. Um, Good. That just puts that much more buy pressure on the asset and upward price movement. So good. So anyway, coming up on an hour and a half. Yay. So let's see if there is anything else that is worth commenting on here. I do have other subjects that I subscribe to on Twitter. So let's see. No, I'm not going to comment on that. Going once. Going twice. Come on, show me something on here that's worth talking about. Going 2.5 times. Let's see. I don't want to comment on that. All right, I think I'm going to call it for tonight. I don't see anything else on here that's worth commenting on. So, yeah, I've been at it for an hour and a half, so I think I am going to call it. Just want to give a big shout out to everybody for stopping by this evening. It's great to see some new faces, and I'll see what I can do about coming on tomorrow. Do have a few things to take care of in the morning, and we'll see what tomorrow looks like. But I am going to go for now. So thanks again, everybody, for stopping by. You guys are awesome. Have a great night. Talk to you all soon. Bye.